My God, I hate drugs.
Yung Facebook account, sabi mo na isa kang true-blooded Marcos loyalist. Naniniwala ba kayong may ill-gotten wealth o nakaw na yaman ang mga Marcos?
Hindi, sapagkat yung ginawa ng PCGG, marami silang mga tinatawag natin alleged cronies na kinumpis nila yung pera. Hindi lahat yun ay sa Marcoses. In fact, marami nang naisole sa mga Marcoses. Gaya ng mga bahay nila, yung Santo Niño Shrine, yung ibang mga paintings, yung ibang kagamitan.
So, sinasabi nyo, walang nakaw na yaman ang Marcos?
Wala.
May pera o suporta ka ba mula sa mga Marcoses?
Walang pera ang Pilipinas, paano mong nanakawin?
Double! Suportahan ka ba ngayon ng mga Marcos?
Hindi.
Sa kampanya, karoon ba para sa'yo ng human rights violations nung panahon ng martial law?
Mas marami ang violation, ang human rights violations noong panahon ni Cory Aquino. Andyan yung Menjola Massacre, andyan yung pinatay yung mga union leaders ng Hacienda Luisita. Sa panahon ni Noynoy, yung sa 44. Mas marami ang human rights violations sa mga Aquino. Pinatay ni Joma dahil gusto nilang sumurrender. Yan ay malaking katotohanan yan.
Abas na tila may galit kayo sa MILF. Anong pinag-uugatan ng galit nyo sa MILF?
Yung paggugulo doon sa Mindanao. Dahil sila ay sinusuportahan lamang ng Malaysia upang guluhin yung Mindanao, upang yung issue ng Sabah ay hindi na maibalik sa atin.
Why? Pupunta kayo doon, pasusunog yung mga bahay?
Figure of speech yan dahil political
Anong
statement.
ibig nyo sabihin, sir?
Pero Karen,
So, binabawi nyo yun?
Huwag mong kalimutan na ang sinabi ko doon ay maninikluhod ako ng 10 beses sa kanila at luluha ako ng dugo pakikiusap sa kanila.
Alright, thank you very much.
Being a member of the Committee on Franchises, what act can a particular network or facility or entity do that Congress may reject to give a franchise? What major violation would be needed for the committee or the House in general not to grant a new franchise or a renewal to any entity? Anong uri ng paglabag, sir?
Pag mapapatunayan yung mga violations, yun doon sa citizenship, pero hindi ko sinasabi, pag mapapatunayan lang po, yun sa KBO, yun sa ibang mga taxes issues po.
So, kumbaga, binanggit niyo po tatlo, ang citizenship, ang KBO at ang taxes. Naniniwala po kayo, Congressman, ito ang pinakamabigat na tatlong alegasyon na kumbaga posibleng maging dahilan na mawala ang prangkisa o hindi maibigay sa ABS-CBN.
Ma'am, ako is may personal opinion, ma'am, pero sabi ko nga isang boto lang ako, pero kung pwede man, ma'am, i-open ko rin yung experience ng kaibigan ko sa ABS-CBN, di ba? Kasi ma'am, may kaibigan ako dati na alleged drug lord siya, gano'n, nasa hearing, so linabas sa ABS-CBN News na parang, ito si ganito. Sabihin ko na yung pangalan, si Paulo Duterte, na sinabi daw, drug lord, gano'n. And then ma'am, nung yung tao sa hearing, yung Mark Taguba, sinabi na hindi pala niya na-meet si Paulo Duterte, wala nang bumawi doon, wala nang nagsabi sa news na hindi pala siya kasama dito, sinabi ng Mark Taguba. So ang nangyari ma'am, naiwan sa utak ng tao na, ito drug lord pala to kasi ganito. Pero ito to, kumbaga ma'am, hindi naman talaga siya kakilala ng tao. So naiwan na sa isip ng tao. Kasi ma'am, ako nagtatanong rin ako sa ibang mga tao, anong reaction niyo sa ganito? Dati po to ang sinasabi niya, sabi kasi sa news, ganun. So tama po kayo ma'am. Ang ABS-CBN, ang mga media ma'am is very, very powerful. Kumbaga ma'am, ang sa akin kasi syempre ma'am, pag meron tayong great power, meron po itong great responsibility. So sa akin ma'am, syempre yung mga buhay ng tao na nasisira rin, yun lang rin yung mga ibang concerns. Katulad ma'am, marami kayong natutulungang buhay, totoo po yun. Pero may mga buhay rin po na nasisira. Okay lang po yung mga guilty ma'am kung yung rapist talaga, gano'n. Kaya lang ma'am, paano po pag hindi, yung family niya, na syempre katulad ako ma'am, yung sa akin na lang, may anak din ako, then kung hindi naman totoo, ano yung mag-feel nila?
Congressman, I understand where you're coming from, and I really want to thank you for mentioning this. But I think for the record, I mean, I was on DZMM myself during this whole issue. No anchor or journalist would ever name any authority as a drug lord and calling it a fact, because that would be extremely libelous. So that's for the record. So what you are saying is, you believe or you feel that ABS-CBN did not have a follow-up story to correct the impression of what Mark Taguba said. Tama po ba yun, sir?
Yes, Ma'am Karen. Kasi ma'am, di ba, kunyari kayo, sinabi niyo, sige na to, drug lord daw ata, sabi. So ma'am, kasi ang tao, pag nakikinig sa atin, katulad sa inyo ngayon, ma'am, very kayo, ma'am, kumbaga credible po kayo, marami nakikinig sa inyo, marami pong naniniwala. So kumbaga, pagkatapos ng gano'n na lang, and then may sinabi sila na ni Mark Taguba na, ay, hindi ko pala siya na-meet kasi ganito, yun lang ang sabi sa akin, pero hindi. So kumbaga ma'am, hindi niyo naman trabaho talaga na kailangan sundin niyo, kaya lang yung buhay po, nasira na po doon. Kumbaga, hindi po naayos.
Well, Congressman, I want to thank you for that. It will be, of course, ABS-CBN News who will be checking into these allegations by looking through the files, looking at all the stories done. And I'm sure, sir, our Senior Vice President for News, Jing Reyes, will be answering this in the hearing.
Yes.
Tanong ko lang po, Congressman, ito po ba ang dahilan kung bakit isinampa ni Ginoong Paulo Duterte ang resolusyon na yon?
Sa hindi, ma'am, ako po, yun po yung dahilan. Kasi ma'am, yung tao, kaibigan ko po, alam ko naman po ma'am, kung sa tingin ko naman totoo yung mga sinasabi against him, hindi naman ako siguro magiging kaibigan niya. So akin naman ma'am, matagal ko nang kilala yung tao, doon ko lang ma'am nakita na ang tao pala kahit gaano kakabait, basta mabasa ka lang sa news na ganito, kahit hindi totoo, maniniwala po yung ibang tao. Pero yun lang po yung sa akin, yung personal reason ko. Pero yung sa kanya ma'am, never ko po kasi siya tinanong. Kaya nga sabi ko po, yung tao po, mabait na tao, maayos na tao, never po siya nagsasalita ng kung anong hindi magaganda po.
Oo.
Meron po tayo nakita ng isang Twitter noong May 5, 2020. At ito'y galing sa isa pa namang kaibigan natin, si Karen Davila. Ang sabi niya po ay, let me quote her. Ang sabi niya ay, sa dami ng problema ng Pilipinas, sa dami na nagkakasakit at namamatay sa COVID, sa laki ng problema ngayon sa ekonomiya, sa dami ng nawalan ng trabaho dahil sa COVID, talagang pagpapatigil ng ABS-CBN ang inaatupag nila. Ibig sabihin yung nila, yung gobyerno. Hindi ko maintindihan kung nasaan ang puso nito. Alam po ninyo, unang-una, let me preface my discussion of this by saying that Karen Davila is a personal friend. Mali ka, Karen. Malayong malayo yung binabanggit mo na ang inaatupag ng pamalaan ay ang pagpapahinto ng ABS-CBN. Ang inatupag po ng pamalaan, you should know this. From the very start, nag-respond kagad ng presidente. Nakita mo, siya pa ang unang-una. Isa sa mga unang leader sa Asians na nag-ban ng travel na nanggagaling doon sa ibang bansa na merong COVID at nag-ban din ng paalis. And after that, siya ay nagdesisyon na magkaroon ng lockdown or general community quarantine initially, and then naging enhanced community quarantine. At pagkatapos nun, ay nagbigay na ng mga regla, mga protocols upang masawata natin yung spread. And apart from that, gumawa na rin ng presidente ng mga hakbangin upang magkaroon ng pera na itutustos natin dito sa digmaan. Malayong malayo, hindi na isip ni presidente yung ABS-CBN na yan. Now, kahapon, nagpalabas po ang NTC ng cease and desist order. At ngayon nga, ay nag-sign off ang ABS-CBN. Tayo po ay nalulungkot personal sapagkat ako po, kung hindi nyo pa na alam, ako po ay nagprograma sa ABS-CBN at katandem ko pa si Pinky Webb dyan sa Pasada 7. At marami akong naging kaibigan dyan. At ako'y nanunood. Nalungkot din po tayo. Pero gaya ng sinabi ko, Karen, sa'yo, sa programa mo noon. Ang presidente, kung meron man siyang naging pahayag na sa tanaw ng iba, ay gusto niyang pahintuin ang ABS-CBN, nagkakamali po kayo.
Prior to the passage of the Human Security Act, there were still groups, human rights advocates, journalists that were actually against and opposed Section 18 of the Human Security Act. I'm getting it from journalists right now who are watching you. So it was opposed back then. But if you believe that there is no constitutional infirmity on this particular section, what would be the change to make this anti-terror bill more effective than the Human Security Act, Lucy?
What do you mean, Karen?
Why would this anti-terror bill
be more effective if, as you say, the Section 29 was exactly the same as Section 18? What are the facets of this bill that would make it more effective?
Because in the Human Security Act, it was a dead letter law. We did not have a measure to prevent terrorism. It was all probable cause. It was all innocent until proven guilty. By that time, it doesn't apply to a crime like terrorism, because if we use that argument, wala na detonate na yung bomb. I think a law on anti-terrorism should be not just reactive but also preventive.
Okay. Now, I was hoping that we would have more time, Lucy. I do hope that we can discuss this further on. But you said in the last law, it was a dead letter law. It was innocent until proven guilty. But shouldn't it be that way, I mean, across the board, even with the anti-terror bill?
Yes, but terrorism, Karen, is it's the highest crime against humanity. I don't think it is right to let go of or to not pursue a tip, or to not go after a suspect if he is suspected of terrorism, of the crime of terrorism, because we have to weigh which risk weighs heavier on the people, no? The risk of wrongful arrest or the risk of a terror attack actually happening. I think we have to read kasi the bill with the right target in mind. This is a bill aimed to bring terrorists to justice. This isn't about making life difficult for activists. When we model the bill and lump all the other crimes to make it for fear that it will be also tagged as a crime of terrorism, that's where all the confusion happens, because we don't have the same target in mind.
Okay, but you did say that you'd prefer, if I understand it correctly, the risk of a wrongful arrest. Did I understand you?
Not that I prefer, Karen, because I think the fear of abuse, the fear that the bill can be abused or that the law can be abused is not unfounded. We've seen how laws have been abused in the years, no, not just under the reign of President Duterte, but even the reigns of other presidents. But fear of abuse is not a valid reason to reject a bill outright. It's not a valid reason to reject needed legislation like the anti-terrorism bill, because theoretically speaking, all laws can be abused. Even social welfare laws that are very benign and charitable, they can be abused. That is why there are safeguards in place to prevent those abuse from happening. And on your question, if I prefer wrongful arrest, not that I prefer, I'm just saying that if wrongful arrest does happen, that person has legal recourse. But when a terror attack has been carried out, the damage is irreversible.
Okay, all right.
Mga bobo! Bobo!
Bobo!